Well, hello everybody. We made it. Just gonna get rid of an app. Well, we made it. We made it to the final. We made it to 4, 5, and 6. I've put them together. It's a major UN resolution, a covenant. It's done by the second organ of the UN. There are 6. The second being the Social and Cultural or Social Economic Council. And they are absolutely bound to the UNSCP 5. You find that in the UN Charter. You can go on the UN website, un.org, look up the 6 organs of the UN. Nothing anyone ever complains about is even one of the 6 organs, which are permanent, besides the General Assembly, which is the last of the organs. This, today, that we conclude with, is where you will find your rights to your culture, your rights to the person, your rights to politics, your rights to your social standing in society, your civil and political rights, absolutely through regionalism. There's no escape. As we go through this, you're going to see it is long, very lengthy. I put just basic bullets, and so it's a lot of it's off my memory and what's been relayed to you. If you go look at what I just posted, you'll see I post it in its entirety. There are portions of this we're not going to go into too much detail at this time, as it overlaps a lot of the second and third class. This specifically is to build a resolution going forward. We won't emphasize major portions of this. They're important. They're just not important in the resolution going forward. We will touch on them and how they've been breached, how Canada entirely is liable for a great amount of years. This UN Covenant on social, economic, and cultural rights, done in 1966, absolutely cemented 1976. Why is that? Because China was bound to the Declaration of Human Rights 1971. We go on. Richard Nixon dealt with that. By 1975, everything was ironed out. In 76, it was thrown at them. China signed it, creating a 5 for 5 situation. You'll see a lot of binding world laws. There's key years we always focus on: the 40s, late 40s, obviously 1945, but 1948, 1952, 1959, 1968, going to 71, 74, 75, and this finally 1976. It's huge. It's always really ignored by governments like Canada. You'll never, ever get an education in this because it's regional laws. It overlaps. It binds all world countries that signed and ratified this, or if they didn't, doesn't matter because the P5 did. And for Canada, they don't wish to address it. Even though they signed it, they said, oh yeah, we did all these things. We cover all this. And absolutely, Pierre Elliott Trudeau absolutely agreed to all this. He says he was good to go, as well as Jean Chrétien. But the reality is, they fail. Not only those two, but in their time and in this place, they absolutely lied to the entire world. Liberal Party of Canada, they keep it going. Conservatives do too. NDP, Green, many other parties elected federally, they all breach this multiple times. You can go through as you see the change of acts. But we're going to go through it now and why it's so important. So to begin with, as I said, it was 1960, International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Canada signed it away right quick. They agreed to it. They said, yeah, that's us. Not so. The biggest thing to know here, it is the binding law enshrining your economic, social, cultural, political, and civil rights, Canadians. Here's the problem. Number one, whether you're first person or the Canadian second and third class, you don't have any documents since the entirety of Canada. Since 1 year after this covenant, that Canada said, yes, we will. And as we go through this, you're going to see that they had 1 year to submit that to the Social Economic Council underneath the UNSC. They chose not to. They never did, because Canada doesn't have any civil rights, because we don't have any regional constitutions. The only one in charge of your civil rights is each and every premier you elect, and they can make it up as they go. This document is literally asswipe to all the regions of Canada, which your prime minister elected of the time, and every prime minister since, every federal opposition leader in any capacity or MP elected swore to the Allies this would be done, which means Treaty Indian, Métis, Inuit. As we go through this, does any of this in its entirety ever been applied to you? Third class, second class, there's a tremendous volume here for you too, but we are focusing on a genocide. We're focusing on a resolution. We will visit this again, as I promised. I will do the analysis off of this document, off of this binding international law done by the Allies. We will show you, all First Peoples, all Canadians, how unions were designed off the Indian Act in Canada and how they're administered the exact same way. We will go back through this document on the other end of the spectrum of these articles that I don't touch on today in those narratives. We're going to do another, but it's going to be specifically for unions and First Nations, for education. All of it entirely, but that's not today. So, 31 articles in this document. Number 1. Now, you all tell me. Article 1 says clearly, and it states, all peoples of the UN state of Canada will have full self-determination. Full self-determination. When you look that up, and it's defined here, access to your resources, in charge of the wealth, in charge of your dignity, in charge of your family, absolutely having the power over your children. You're fundamental to society, and your government respects all your choices. Number 1, complete breach. Absolutely, entirely, even right now today, as I do this video, the regions, the provinces, are in full charge of Native Family Services. They'll take your children any time they like, in any narrative, and make it nearly impossible for you to get them back, setting bars that far exceed what is listed here. And not to be. Number 1, still going on today. And as we go through, we're going to go back to Article 1 when we get to the article that tells you that the federal government must agree to make sure that never happens within regions. That this is binding on everyone in the nation, regardless. So already Russian USA said, oh, wait a minute, because we know division of powers, regardless of state. USA went through it. Even in residential schools, which First Peoples and Canadians are trying to argue with me right now about taking the American genocide as they're trying to do it. It's regional, guys. Regional. 2 different countries, 2 different systems. USA operates a different way. They took care of this. And it's in the same years. 1 year before this came out, USA already took care of business. Now, states that fell behind, they eventually got taken and put down. And guess what year that was? 1976. Guess what year this came into international law? 1976. That's when you see the end of the residential system in the United States of America. Meaning they live up to what they say. All just highlighted right here, right now, Article 1. Article 2. All wealth and resources will be made available to each and every citizen, regardless of race, sex, color, creed, all of it, or even cultural influences. That's what it says. To the point that you can subsist. You must have enough land and resources made available to you to exist without taking some kind of government controls. Is that true, Treaty Indians? Is that true? No. Not even close? Nowhere near? There are all kinds of historical breaches of just that post 1976, never mind all the way through. Completely removed all your rights to dignity and to be able to subsist off your own initiatives on the land made available to you. And that wasn't given. It's never even been made available. There isn't even enough, especially for Treaty Indian, especially for Inuit as well. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. Complete breach. Number 3 says, all states who sign this, the first two I just went through, this is Article 3, all states who ratify this agree to enshrine and ensure that these first 2 articles are absolutely universal on all their people. You got 1 year to do that, they say. 1 year. 1977, did that happen? No. 1977 all the way to today, right now. Still going on. Justin Trudeau's flying water bottles over right now for those without water, even though that's a massive human rights violation. But Trudeau says it's all good. He's got water bottles coming in from Walmart, so everything's going to be okay, at least till the winter hits. The only time a state can get out or work towards moving away from 1 and 2, the only time is that it's for the better general welfare of all peoples. I don't see how residential schools or removing people from their land or taking their children away narrates that. I don't think the UNSCP 5 or the Social Economic Council is going to look at that and say that what Canada did and has been doing to the First Peoples entirely was for their general welfare. The changes that they made deviating from these binding laws. They have to prove that. We're going to get into more of it. Yeah. And then number 5, just to back that up, they say, don't exceed this covenant to take away these rights listed above. Don't do it to the state. Don't do it. And Canada did. And they kept going on. Even though they said, oh, in a year we'll have it all done, don't worry. They never did. No lawyer has ever taken this document from Canada, Canadian lawyer, and gone on to pursue it. Not a one. Not since. Not a first person's lawyer. Not a Canadian lawyer. Not one law firm. Now, why do you suppose that is? Why can we not get one lawyer, Indigenous, first person, Métis, Treaty Indian, or Inuit? Why not one educated lawyer would take that forward? Why would no Canadian lawyer take that forward? Well, they swear an oath, a crown oath to the crown, to whomever's Prime Minister, and that Prime Minister can have, through Governor General or any Lieutenant Governor, remove their bar, take away their law firm, take away their civil right to a business. So no lawyer does. If they have made a stink about it, the government says join in the rape, pillage, and plunder of absolutely all human rights, dignity, and then take away all their civil rights because we don't have any. We told them we're going to give them all out to everybody, educate everybody. But they never did, and they never will, and no lawyer's ever gone forward to ever bring this to the UNSCP 5's attention. Not a one. The tools are here, but Canada's built in a system that armbars every lawyer from doing that. So the UNSC's never, ever heard from a Canadian, let alone a Treaty Indian, let alone a Métis or an Inuit. Not from a second, third class, and not any First Peoples. Not a one. Number 6 is where we cross over into labor now. This is all under economic. Serious business that other countries, including the USA, boundless, and this is important. The right to work freely. I mean, you choose what work you want to do, and you should get a good compensation for that. You should be able to live. As long as you're working, you should be able to live. Now, how does that work out for those on reserves? Oh, give up your status, leave the reserve, oh, become like a white person. Well, that wasn't the deal. And you haven't settled the claims. There's no self-determination. Where's the issue of culture? Completely lied. It's been a lie and a farce since they signed. Remuneration, the equality of that. We look at enfranchisement and post. The women never got their status back. They were never made whole. Many of them were not. Till much, much later. And still many right now never will get it back. Not in the Canadian system we have. Even though DNA can easily prove all that, many of those thrown out or tossed out. And this can even be done by the government or the chiefs and councils sworn to that government, sworn to that crown. That's happened too. And there are many First Peoples out there who lost all of these rights, all of them. The right to unionize. First Peoples, have you ever been able to make your own unions? Oh no, can't do that. You're under the Indian Act. Even though that's a direct violation of absolutely this document, that nobody is to ever be restricted from that. Freedom of association is for everybody. And again, they list it right in the preamble of this text. All peoples. Number 9, Social Security. Is there any real viable Social Security in any reserve system by the federal government of Canada, besides the few reserves who signed away their property rights? Because again, there's no civil rights. The government forcing them to agree to this or we'll starve you. That doesn't sound like Social Security. That sounds like the complete opposite. That sounds like an absolute violation of your civil rights that are supposed to be enshrined. And we go back up. There it is, number 2. Number 10, the family unit. This one starred. This is what really kills the government of Canada. 1976, you had 1 year to correct this with all the First Peoples. Family unit not to be breached. Mothers were to be taken care of, given that 1 year under the Social Security, inside economic. Parentage, inalienable, can't go in there regardless of cultural differences, clearly stated. And they add criminal repercussions that it's supposed to be criminalized in your country if a government does that. Did the government make that a crime? No, they kept perpetuating the crime. They told them, no, we signed this, we ratified. Oh no, Trudeau. It was Pierre Elliott Trudeau and his sidekick, Jean Chrétien. They said, no, we're going to get it all done. They didn't do anything. In fact, they did the opposite. They come out with a charter in 1982 saying, look at all the rights we gave everyone. And the world goes, oh, it's great. And no lawyer said, or no lawyer came forward to tell the world it's a complete sham. That Canada is the worst human, social, economic, and civil rights violator in the world today. Right up there with the worst of the worst. Now, it's great that we're listed there now. Finally, we're listed there just 6 weeks ago with the worst countries in the world, but it's sick to go through this. We're only at 10 out of 31, and we have not hit a single one where Canada has in any meaningful way even tried to adopt these that they were promised to adopt within 1 year of signing this document in 1976. Another big one, starred an adequate standard of living as measured by your UN state. Okay, look at the average standard of living of a Canadian citizen. Measure that to any treaty Indian in Canada. Not even close. Not even close. Go through Inuit. It's much the same thing. All the northern region. Complete farce, complete lie. In fact, it's so low, it measures on genocide. It really does. In a first world country. I mean, I'm just going by what Canada signed. Canada signed a world binding law, told the Allies, we are doing this. Now, America, when you cross over and you look at what was settled and determined, a year before they signed this document, it's done. It's done. The average standard of living is there. In fact, it's maybe a little higher. Not in Canada, not even close. Not even close. Second part of this, and living conditions. No water. Justin Trudeau right now faces a death penalty over this. The ICC can seize and freeze all assets. They won't spend it. That goes back to the country of origin when all the prosecution's done. Not just Justin Trudeau. I'm just using Justin Trudeau because Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister right now. He is running this Crown colonial system. He is the big human rights violator, civil rights violator, cultural genocidal maniac violator. Living conditions, food, water, the ability to import it, export it. So now today he goes, oh, for 6 years I've done nothing, but now somebody tattled on me. Somebody tattled on me. Somebody highlighted number 11. People are talking now. It's gone from our legal system to the ICC, and now they're going off on it. The UNSCP 5 has published this. China even stated what's to stop Canada from continued abuse like this. And then they look at this. This has been presented to them. Number 11. Trudeau's going to send water bottles? How's that going to fly in the winter? It's going to get across Canada? Who's got to pay for it? Is the Trudeau Foundation paying for it? No. No, it's you, the third class. You, the third and second class. So you hate First Peoples more. We create more racism. When really, the law has been violated here, everybody. We're only at 11. We're not even a third of the way through this. And Justin Trudeau says, I'm going to make the third and second class pay for water shipments all over Canada so that the ICC doesn't throw my fucking ass in jail. Because for 6 years, I've been killing the peoples and lying to the world about it. And Aaron O'Toole and Jagmeet Singh, do you think they really gave a fuck? Do you think Harper gave a fuck? He was doing it too. Murdering a peoples. Complete prison time associated with number 11. It's listed there. It's listed there. Number 12. This one will really floor a lot of people. Every mental and physical ailment and health will be distributed evenly throughout the regions and all the different cultural peoples. First Peoples. I don't think so. Did you know statistically today you have the highest suicide rate? The further north you go, the more dead Indians there are. I'm sorry. I can go on all the statistics. It gets worse. And I don't mean to talk so aggressively, but this stuff, when you go through it, your civil rights, the dignity of a person. If Canada can't dignify all peoples equally, they dignify nobody. They never have. Your politicians are the biggest hypocrite liars, genocidal maniacs the world's known. I mean, there's countries with bigger body counts, but the action of doing it and pretending you're somehow holier than thou, better than everybody, pointing the finger at everyone, calling everybody else racist, when you just blow money, murder of peoples, you're racist, you're the worst kind of racist, because you're a chicken shit kind. And then you turn around and stuff your fat pockets. Look at the Trudeau Foundation. Justin Trudeau's dad, his family, the whole history. They believe they're entitled to this. They believe they're a superior human being. You think he's going to rectify anything? Infant mortality is listed there. Do you know who's got the highest infant mortality rates in Canada? You guessed it. Treaty Indians. All the way up north to the Inuit. Goes right up. Only gets worse. 13, we get into education. Education on the human personality. All in a free society that never breaks the cultural identity of any of the distinct peoples. Reference back again to self-determination. 14 and 15 listed all in clarity. That is not and never has been for the First Peoples since 1977. This stuff's all jailable, everybody. When they start going through this, and they start going through every breach of the law, when ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, his bosses have already got all this. When we start dropping the exhibits every day, and they clearly see all these historical yearly overlaps since 1945, and as these documents get ratified, and as you all get to see and they get to see, wait a minute, our country's moved away from this in these specific years or within the year, or and Canada clings right now to the politicians. First it was, go after the church. They tell all the chiefs, go after the church too. So that way it'll wreck the case and we stay in power and the case is thrown away. Go after USA. USA honored this agreement entirely. This is residential schools was ended 2 years before ratification because they were forcing China to bind it. The UNSC are not stupid, ladies and gentlemen. They're not dumb. Now, maybe no lawyer in Canada could ever have brought this forward, or they would have risked losing their bar. But we the people can, and we are, and it's being done. And it's only a matter of time now. Pissy pants Justin Trudeau and his water bottles all over Canada is not enough. The damage is done. Justin Trudeau, we have you 6 years dead to rights. 6 fucking years. And you're going to play a hero now? Too little, too late. You knew all of this. Your father taught you. Your whole family knows. Your family's had the crown longer than anybody. Your father was in power for 16 years. 13 full, solid, powerful years. Major asterisks here. This is going to shock. And I hope that whether you're white or you're a First Person or you're a Black Canadian or a Hispanic Canadian, whatever culture you are, whatever culture you come from, you came to Canada, when they talk about multiculturalism, did you know that the Social Economic Council at this stage, right in the middle of the document, they take this opportunity to tell every UN state who signs this, if you have minority groups where you violated, at this point we've got to, so here's Canada, 1976. Holy, we've violated all of them. All of them so far. We're as bad as all those African nations. All of them. Just as bad, if not worse. They tell you, report to the Social Economic Council. Report on all this, and the UNSCP 5 and their special council, the second organ of the UN, will work with you over the course of a year, make recommendations, and should you not follow through, the UNSCP 5 takes over. Canada knew. Justin Trudeau knows. Aaron O'Toole knows. Jagmeet Singh knows. Maxime Bernier knows. Why does Maxime Bernier tell you to leave the UN? So that they don't have to worry about any of these atrocities? Is that what that's why? Focus on all the non-binding laws, leave the allies, go with the Axis, become a rogue state like Cyprus, and have some country like Turkey come and invade you, I guess, get thrown out of your property, and then the UNSC will step in and say, sorry, you're not in the UN. We're going to put a big fence around this. America will probably move. Russia will take some parts. Everyone will take some parts. Meanwhile, you become a refugee. Good luck. You don't believe it? Go look at the history of Cyprus. Submit reports on your violations. Work through it. Guess how many reports Canada has submitted to the Social Economic Council? Second organ of the UN. Second organ. Who, when they work through this stuff, if it doesn't work out, it goes back to the UNSCP 5, and you're right back to Organ 1. Canada's never ever submitted a report, never ever disclosed any of the violations 1 to 16 in all of the entirety from 1976 until right now, today. You want to talk crime, Canadians? You want to talk crime, First Peoples? Every motherfucking elected federal government official, according to this document, guilty, guilty, guilty. We're only halfway through this document. There's going to even be more shockers. There's still a few more circled items that they're all pretty hairy, but there's some real serious ones where you just go, wow, wow. So every time you see an MP or you talk to an MP, independent or liberal or conservative NDP, you know, you're talking to a sick individual, a low-life, degenerate piece of shit. That's what you're dealing with. The lowest kind of scumbag. They all belong in jail. That's the reality. This has all been kept from every Canadian and every first person. Absolutely. Since 1976, 77, they had to disclose all this to all of you. And Canada chose not to. Because again, you can't get a lawyer to take this forward. 17, now that we just went through 16, remember I told you about the year and I'd go back to number 1. 17 highlights right there. All those who've now made it to 16, you submit reports, you have 1 year. From 1977 was the last chance. They didn't do it. Dead to rights. Trudeau's running around with water bottles right now because Article 17 puts him in the crosshairs of the UNSCP 5, the ICC, where today they just disclose this document's out. Tina Maravich read the entirety of all of these, and if you think the crafters of these documents, the UNSCP 5, when they start going through it and they hear from a treaty Indian, which they did, and all of a sudden today ICC's just pumping out all what they can do to just UN state government officials. They can grab them, lock them up, and they talk about the countries that need to sponsor them. Well, that's absolutely the P5. Then we go on again, 1819. It's all about the overriding power of the UNSCP 5 relating back to the Charter of 1945. When you go through that, it lists the 6 organs, and guess who's in charge? UNSCP 5. This second organ, this covenant, ratified by the world, this second covenant goes right into the hands of the UNSCP 5. At this point, Trudeau's a pissy pants. He knows the game is over. All the way to 20, as we go through all that scary stuff for a government creep, a sick government creep in 2021, which is all our federal parties. I wouldn't want to be an MP right now. The state must talk to the Social Economic Council if you've gone on further in violating, because now it's an international criminal matter. Needs to go to the criminal court. And the Social Economic Council has the power to do that. 21, we get into the progress of states going forward. Who's follow this stuff? Which Canada never did. There's no progress reports. I looked. Since 1977, there's never been a UN report on any first person in Canada whatsoever. They've never reported once. There's been no updates, no amendments, nothing. Canada has done nothing but keep it under wraps every day of every first person's life, starting with none other than Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's filthy, dirty, deranged father, and his sidekick, Jean Chrétien. '22 goes into the progression of every legal means to get all of this done, what the UN will do going forward, i.e. the President of the General Assembly, and then they go into the Economic and Social Council, where they go, what they utilize, all the way back to the P5, all the way back. We get into 23, a big circle here, regional meetings, meaning if your federal government, remember what I told you about the federal government is bound to see this through, if regions don't want to give you your civil rights, which there is not one constitution in Canada, no premier wants to give any Canadian a constitution, let alone the First Peoples, no self-determination, no self-government, don't settle the claims. And no civil rights, no cultural rights, no rights whatsoever outside of the Charter that they allow the Prime Minister to decide. Governor General, Lieutenant Governors, and they trade back and forth with civil rights. Totally legal in this world. 23, regional meetings, massive exclamation mark, meaning the government must take the regions to the Social Economic Council. Those reports, if regions have none of these things enshrined, and it's a division of their powers, the federal government must take them there. Each and every premier. Trudeau's never done that. I know just from Alberta, Jason Kenney's violated a pile of civil rights. Justin Trudeau wanted to mess around with human rights, so he said, go ahead, Jason. I won't tell if you don't. We don't have to worry. There's no Canadian lawyer who's ever going to take us to court. You were on Harper's Privy Council. You know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what they do. Cross party lines. Multi-party system, ladies and gentlemen. We're a one-party system. It's called Crown Colonial. Pigs at the trough, the worst of the worst. Way worse than any communism. 24, another major highlight. Don't breach the Charter of 1945. That gets into all the human rights, the criminal liability of all these state politicians, every single one. Read 24. politicians go to jail for this. Through the ICC. They just published today anyway. You can all go look them up. They have a great publication. I've been following it for years, so it's no secret to me. I even know about taking lives. How many executions they've put out. The UNSCP 5 decided, nah, we just want them executed. "25 highlights that all peoples in your state must freely be allowed to utilize all resources and wealth to define themselves. When the country keeps that from you, like an Indian Act, because you're an Indian, they say, oh, you don't get that stuff. We're going to give you a little small check every month. We're going to have an agent. We're going to have this whole system completely abolished right there in 25. Article 25 completely abolishes the Indian Act, not to exist in the world. No UN state's supposed to have anything like that. Canada says, well, we do and we are. We're never going to let it go. Because they're not human beings. We're the first-class politician, and the Indians have always and always will be a problem. That's Justin Trudeau, Aaron O'Toole, Jagmeet Singh, Maxime Bernier, whomever's the leader of the Green Party now. Black or white would not matter. You're an elected politician running a party. You're in a position of power. You could address all of this, but you choose not to because you have a crown sworn oath. They're all garbage. Canadians, First Peoples, these are all garbage autocrats who have no value placed in any allies or any of their world-binding laws. You can take the soldiers of World War II and you can take a hot piss on them. They don't care. They never have. They only care about exploiting and destroying you, up to including genocide, if they can get away with it. Remove all rights, including these, the rights you've never heard of before in Canadian history. Not one Canadian has ever rolled this out until Tina Maravich presented it live on World Constitution Day on Treaty 4 Indian, August 1st. First time. I need light. It's getting dark. See, I told you this one was long. It was supposed to be a 4, 5, and 6, but already an hour, eh? It would have been nice to do more question and answer, but usually I do like the 50-minute mod, but this was a 3-in-1. 26 again, Article 26 tells you this is binded international law, absolutely 1976, month and day, and everyone from 1 year of that date is bound to it, and Canada signed this. They're bound to it. 27 entered into force, meaning the UNSCP 5 get to enforce it under their laws, their court, ICC, not Ontario Human Rights Council, not Justin Trudeau's commission or tribunal. They lie. So many groups, peoples come out with all these lies. Tribunals, ICJ, all these courts. Not listed here, folks. ICC, P5, UNSC, revert to the Charter, which you'll see International Court of Justice. But again, that's if it's voluntary for the state. This is not voluntary for the state. 28 is the circle. This takes it all the way back to the beginning. I've highlighted it twice. You want to hear it for yourself. 28, I circled it. Federal governments of every UN state who ratifies this, completely tied to this covenant entirely. Completely tied to it. Cannot get away. Meaning, when we went into regional, which was highlighted before, they can't. They have to enforce this, even on the regions. Even though the division of power, that's not an excuse. Right now we have Doug Ford with Native Family Social Services, 200 organizations, fat, wealthy pricks making hundreds of thousands of dollars salaries, highest salaries in the country for similar positions. In social services, hundreds of thousands of dollars salary, raping and murdering kids, ripping apart families, breaching everything in this document because you can. And who's going to stop you? The UNSC's never going to know about it, right, Doug Ford? We'll see. 29 tells you this is amendable by your country. They have to apply, go through the process, which means reporting to the Social, Economic, Cultural Council, second organ of the UN. Guess how many times Canada did that? 0. So nothing's been amended here. Canada and the federal politicians are liable for every single article in this document as it is 1976. That's it. Since filthy Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And that's 32, I say. Canada never asked for amendments. They list all those who wanted amendments. I went into all that in the history. Canada never asked for one because they refused to report. 31, this is authentic. Ready for these nations? With USA, UK, France, China, and Russia, as well as Spain, in all those languages. Why is that? Because 5 of those are the UNSCP 5, and Spain is the only other language outside of their realm as the UNSCP 5. So they allowed it to go to Spain because it's a world-binding law. Thanks, everybody. That's my presentation. I'll take questions and comments after I've hit an hour, everybody. It was a long combination of modules. This is the work you all need to go through. Go back, module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which 3 of them you got here. This is the basis. This is our resolution going forward. It's for all countries. Think of Canada, how you'd like to build a resolution. In all the resolutions we went forward, I have Tina's presentation. Take those key dates. Read all those documents, including this one. Some of them are longer than others. This is a massive pile of stuff document. There's a whole central area of it I laid off of just because it won't help for our narrative. Not that it's not important, because it sure is. With Treaty Indian and absolutely unions, you get to see how Canada designed them, how they screwed over freedom of association, how they're destroying religious persons now today and getting away with it. Breaking a human right, listed even in here, backed up entirely in here, clearly listed. That's religion and unions, fellas and ladies. Everybody needs to know this stuff. Study hard. 1 to 6. Take the time. Go through it as many times as you have to. If you need to watch my video again, watch it. And you'll remember those key points. And then you know what we're doing next Monday? Starting the resolution process. We the people all start rolling out day by day. You'll all be able to email, log in on Facebook, take it. You can answer an email, keep it quiet, put your name to it. It'll be part of the 1,700 signatures. It will go to the ICC, and it's absolutely going to the P5. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Leave your questions and comments. I'll hit them tomorrow. I have 2 courses to do. It's 9 o'clock. I get up for 4, so I want to budget my time. Good night, everybody. Love you all. Bye now. Share. It's important. Harsh language or not, the truth. The truth. And if you're going to let Trudeau, O'Toole, Singh, Bernier, and the list goes on and on, if you're going to let these elected filthy autocrats continue, they're killing you all. Do you think it stops with the First Peoples? They're making the third and second class pay for it. How long until they've grossly violated those people, replaced them with their massive, massive sweeping immigration? Because they say, oh, there's just not enough power in Canadians to have enough children because they made the standard of living too low. The standard's too low. You can't have children anymore. So now they have to import all these foreigners. Colonialism. Take a foreign population to replace the local population. The Indian problem. The now third class problem. You don't work hard enough for a lot less. You need to reduce your standard of living, they say. Even though, according to this document, that's illegal. And then Canada says, well, if we get away with it long enough, we lower the standard of living so low, we can say, oh no, there's standard of living. Look, it's so shitty and low. We're third world. That's okay. We're a developing country. Meanwhile, there's tremendous trillionaires running around. It makes no sense. We have to throw out the first class. They're killing all of you. If people don't see that the First Peoples are the key to ending everything, I don't know what to tell you. This is where it's at. This is the action. One of three narratives that we're taking forward, including the CCP, to get the job done. To leave a better future, a better Canada, a Canada everyone can truly love. Define yourself in. Be comfortable knowing your children, your grandchildren will have generations and generations of boom, wealth and prosperity and happiness, the pursuit of happiness. That's what this document's all about. The dignity of the human being, the spirit of an individual. And for those who get upset about pronouns, this document does the his, just like a lot of the others from those years. But guess what? Every person and all sexes are listed in every single article. It's clearly listed in the preamble. People use that to try and get their narratives that only fill the crown. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Everyone or all people. Every article begins that way. Look at it. All people. They're not talking about all men. All people. Everyone. Even less sex. All the things, different sexes, sexuality, all of it. This is the dignity of a person document. They even say that in there. Good night, everybody. Thank you.